Hi, my name is Muhammad Mutaki bin Muhammad Norazmi. So I'm going to explain a little bit about hypersensitivity. The definition is an exaggerated or abnormal immune response to a certain substance that are normally harmless to the majority of the people. This happens when the immune system views the allergens as a threat and respond accordingly in a hypersensitive reaction. And it can cause a variety of symptoms as well as tissue damage. In some cases, there are 4 types of it: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. Type 1 is your regular allergic, which involves in the releasing of histamine. The second type is correlates with destruction of cells by antibodies. The type 3, which is related with the tissue damage mediated by immune complex. And finally, type 4 is a delay type reaction involving T cells that is associated with conditions such as dermatitis.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Arfan. Today I would like to talk about type 1 hypersensitivity. So basically, there are 3 main parts that play a crucial role, which are immunoglobulin E, or known as IgE, mast cells, and histamine. Each one of them has their own function. IgE play a key role in pathogenesis of recognized allergen. It also helps the activation of mast cell and basophils that circulate in our body. The mast cell then will get coated by IgE and it will help to recognize the allergen. The mast cell then will undergo degranulation and causes the release of histamine. So what is histamine? Histamine is a signaling molecule released by the immune system and then will send the messages between the different cells. Histamine then will causes the vasodilation of blood vessels, stimulate the glandular secretion, smooth muscle contraction, and lastly, it will causes itching and pain. For example, hay fever and asthma.
So today I will explain how hypersensitivity 1 can cause immediate and severe symptoms such as hives, swelling, asthma, and anaphylaxis. The allergy starts when cross-linked two neighboring IgE bind with antigen. The binding of the allergen to IgE antibodies triggers a rapid and massive release of various chemical mediators, with histamine being a key player. Histamine is released from granules within mast cells and will show its effect on target tissue and cell. Histamine will cause vasodilation of blood vessels, increase permeability of blood vessels wall to allow fluid flow into the tissue, and causes itchy and pain by stimulating nerve endings. For the diagnosis, there are 2 types of ways, which are blood test and skin predict test. What is a blood test? Blood test is a measurement of specific IgE antibodies in the blood that can help identify sensitivities to particular allergens, while skin predict test is a small amounts of allergens are applied to the skin using a tiny needle. Reactions such as redness or swelling indicate sensitivities. For the treatment, we can avoid allergens such as avoid dusty place and eating nuts for some person. We can also eat antihistamine, which is a prescription or over-the-counter medication that blocks some of what histamine does. But lastly, we can have immunotherapy, which is the repetition of allergen injection with small quantities for a long time.
Type 2 hypersensitivity reaction is a type of immune response that occurs when antibodies bind to antigens on the surface of target cells and trigger their destruction or dysfunction. IgG or IgM antibodies are the main mediators of this reaction. They recognize and bind to foreign or altered antigens on the target cells such as red blood cells, platelets, or thyroid cells. The complement system is a group of proteins that can be activated by the antibody-antigen complexes on the target cells. The complement system enhances the phagocytosis and lysis of the target cells by opsonization, membrane attack, complex formation, and inflammation. Cytotoxic cells are immune cells that can directly kill the target cells by releasing perforins and granzymes. Cytotoxic cells include natural killer cells, cytotoxic T lymphocytes, and antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity ADCC cells. Hypersensitivity type 2 is a type of immune reaction in which antibodies bind to antigens on the surface of cells or tissues, leading to their destruction or dysfunction. This can cause damage to specific cells or tissues that are recognized as foreign by the immune system, such as red blood cells in transfusion reactions or hemolytic disease of the newborn, platelets in immune thrombocytopenia, thyroid cells in Graves' disease or Hashimoto's thyroiditis. In addition, the damage can result from different mechanisms such as complement-mediated lysis. The antibody-antigen complexes activate the complement system, which forms pores in the cell membrane and causes cell lysis. Second one, opsonization and phagocytosis. The antibody-antigen complexes act as opsonins, which mark the cells for phagocytosis by macrophages or neutrophils. Next, antibody-dependent cellular cytotoxicity ADCC. The antibody-antigen complexes bind to Fc receptors on natural killer cells or cytotoxic T cells, which release perforins and granzymes to induce apoptosis of the target cells. Lastly, the inflammation and tissue injury. The antibody-antigen complexes trigger the release of inflammatory mediators such as histamine, cytokines, and chemokines, which recruit and activate more immune cells and cause tissue damage.
For example of hypersensitivity type 2, the first one is blood transfusion reaction. This occurs when the immune system of the recipient attacks the donor's red blood cells, which can cause fever, chills, and other symptoms. The second one is myasthenia gravis. This is a neuromuscular disorder that occurs when the immune system attacks the receptor that allow nerve impulse to reach the muscle, which can cause muscle weakness and other symptoms.
Hello everyone, so today I would like to explain how hypersensitivity type 3 can cause inflammation and tissue damage in various organ and system. Firstly, it starts with the foreign substance or antigen enters our body and cause our immune system to produce an antibody. In type 2 hypersensitivity, it can cause the formation of antigen-antibody complexes, which will then circulate into the bloodstream. These immune complexes will then find its way into small blood vessels and the organ and activate the complement system. When activated, the inflammatory mediator and recombinant immune cells such as neutrophils and macrophage will cause an intense inflammatory reaction, and these immune cells will also release enzymes and toxic substances, which will then lead to the damage of surrounding tissues or the organ or the system that are affected in the area.
My name is Khairul. I will mention about some disease and condition caused by hypersensitivity type 3 such as systemic lupus erythematosus, rheumatoid arthritis, and serum sickness. First, attenuation. This happens when immune system overreact to repeat exposure to the antigen. disease may cause tissue damage, edema and inflammation to impact area. Fragment lung brought on biting a specific organ that's particle found in straw, may hair or other agriculture. People who work in farming-related occupation where they are exposed to the particle allergy are one affected the most. Finally, serum sickness. This reaction brought by injection fragment protein such as anti-serum or some medication. The formation and deposition of immune complex in different tissue cause symptoms as fever, rash and joint pain.
Hypersensitivity or delayed type hypersensitivity involves the activation of CD4 plus and CD8 plus cytotoxic T cells, and it leads to delayed inflammation and tissue damage. It occurs after few days upon exposure to allergen. Other ways to see an example of it is seeing when an allergen enters a body, antigen presenting cells APC like macrophage or dendritic cells present the antigen to the T cells. So the CD4 plus helper T cells, they recognize the presented allergen just now through their receptors and they become activated. It will release cytokines which recruits and activates other immune cells, particularly macrophage, which releases various inflammatory mediators and enzymes that cause tissue damage. So, other involved T cells like CD8 plus cytotoxic T cells, on the other hand, directly attacks and destroy host cells that displace the antigen. As we know, this reaction is delayed because the time taken to activate the T cells itself and also to recruit other immune cells takes time. So, this prolonged immune response contributes to chronic inflammation and tissue damage seen in type 4 hypersensitivity. Why? As I said just now, because continuous activation of these immune cells will destroy surrounding tissues. That's how they will combat this type of allergen. This inflammation and tissue damage, as an example, can be seen in type 4 hypersensitivity like dermatitis, drug reaction, a few autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes. So type 1 diabetes mellitus happens where like T cells attack and destroy the insulin producing beta cells in the pancreas, leading to chronic inflammation which causes insulin deficiency, which is diabetes.
Alright, I'm gonna explain the conditions and diseases related to type 4 hypersensitivity. The first one, contact dermatitis, pretty self-explanatory, whereby derm means skin, itis is inflammation. This is caused when skin is exposed, it comes into contact with certain jewelry, certain plants, as well as certain cosmetic products. It's an allergic reaction. Usually takes 24 to 48 hours for it to be observed on the skin, usually in the form of rashes, itchiness, patches of redness. And then it comes to tuberculin reaction, whereby if someone is exposed to Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria, this person gets injected with its antigen, and then after 48 to 72 hours around the site of injection, swelling, redness, and even the thickening and hardening of soft tissues of skin can be seen. Last but not least, granulomatous disease. It's a chronic disease whereby your white blood cells or phagocytes are not doing its job because the enzyme NADPH oxidase, which is responsible for the generation of ROS, reactive oxygen species, in large quantities in ribosomes, are basically not generated. And these ribosomes are tasked with killing ingested microbes. So basically, these people are prone to autoimmune diseases. They can get diabetes. They can also get kidney issues, heart issues. They can also get blockages because there is accumulation of mast cells and pus buildup. Thank you.
Hi, I will explain about the conclusion. The conclusion is hypersensitivity is when our body's defense system reacts too much to things that are usually harmless. There are 4 types, each with its own way of causing reactions. Type 1 hypersensitivity is super fast, happening in minutes. It's like allergies, sneezing, asthma, or serious stuff like anaphylaxis. It's important to figure out what's causing it and avoid those things. Type 2 hypersensitivity is about our antibodies attacking our own cells, causing problems like autoimmune disease. Managing these conditions is crucial to keep our cells safe. Type 3 hypersensitivity causes inflammation in our tissues. Diseases like lupus are linked to this type. Catching and treating these issues early helps prevent long-term damage. Type 4 hypersensitivity takes its time to show up. Hours to days later, these cells are the main players here, and is seen in conditions like contact dermatitis. Recognizing these delayed reactions helps in getting the right treatment. Understanding hypersensitivity helps us take better care of ourselves. It means personalizing our care, figuring out what triggers our reactions, and avoiding those triggers to stay healthy. Avoiding triggers is a big part of managing hypersensitivity. With this knowledge, we can make smart choices to steer clear of things that might make our immune system go into overdrive.